The space around the Galactic Trade Federation's monitoring station was quiet that morning. Stars twinkled in the distance while the massive station slowly turned in its orbit. Inside the station, different alien species worked together to watch the empty space between their territory and the unknown regions beyond. Captain Kyle Morrison sat in his chair on the bridge of the human ship called the Venture's Edge. He looked tired. His crew had been traveling through space for 3 months, mapping new star systems and looking for planets that might be useful to Earth. Everything had been going well until yesterday. "Captain, the quantum drive is still broken," said Jake Phillips, the chief engineer. His voice came through the communication system from deep inside the ship. "I can fix it, but it will take time. Maybe 2 days." Kyle rubbed his forehead. When the quantum drive broke, it had thrown them far off their planned route. Now they were in a part of space that no human had ever seen before. The star charts showed nothing. They were lost. "Keep working on it, Jake," Kyle said. "Take all the time you need." On the other side of the bridge, Lieutenant Commander Lisa Turner was watching her screens carefully. She was in charge of weapons and sensors. Her job was to keep the ship safe. Suddenly, her screen started flashing. "Captain, I'm seeing something strange," Lisa said. Her voice was excited. "There's a big structure ahead of us, really big. Much bigger than anything we've ever built." Kyle stood up and walked over to Lisa's station. On her screen, he could see a dot of light that was slowly getting bigger. "How far away?" "About 6 hours at our current speed," Lisa answered. "Captain, this thing is huge. It's at least 10 times bigger than our biggest space station back home." Kyle felt his heart beat faster. This could be the discovery of a lifetime. First contact with alien life. He had dreamed of this moment since he was a child. "Are there any ships around it?" Kyle asked. Lisa checked her sensors again. "I can see a few smaller objects moving near it. They might be ships, but they're too far away to be sure." Kyle nodded. "Set course for the structure, slow speed. And Lisa, keep our weapons ready, but don't power them up. We don't want to look threatening." "Yes, sir," Lisa said. Meanwhile, on the alien monitoring station called Nexus 7 Senior Observer, Crixtel was having a very different reaction. Crixtel was a Zephyrian, which meant he looked like a giant insect. He had 4 arms, compound eyes, and mandibles that clicked when he was nervous. Right now, he was very nervous. "What is that thing?" Crixtel whispered to himself as he stared at his sensor display. The unknown ship was still far away, but Crixtel's sensors were very good. They could see things that the humans couldn't even imagine, and what they saw made Crixtel's blood run cold. The ship's hull was made of metals that should have been impossible to work with. The density readings were off the charts. Most ships in the galaxy were built light and efficient, using advanced materials that were strong but thin. This ship was built like a flying mountain. "Observer Tel 9, Crixtel called to his assistant, another Zephyrian who was working at a nearby station. "Look at these readings, tell me what you see." Tel 9 scuttled over on his 6 legs and looked at the display. His compound eyes went wide. "By the ancient swarms," he whispered. "Those power readings. Observer, this ship has enough energy to destroy a small moon." Crixtel's mandibles clicked rapidly. This was bad. Very bad. In all his years of monitoring this sector, he had never seen anything like this. The unknown ship wasn't just big and powerful. It was built for war. "Send an emergency message to the High Council," Crixtel ordered. "Tell them we have a potential invasion force approaching our territory." "Should I alert the defense fleets?" Tel 9 asked. "Not yet," Crixtel said. "We don't want to start a war. But yes, send word to all nearby patrol ships. Tell them to stay away but watch carefully." Back on the Venture's Edge, Kyle was getting more excited by the hour. The alien structure was getting clearer on their screens. It was beautiful in a strange way, with curved surfaces that seemed to flow like water, frozen in time. "Captain," said Dr. Sam Bennett, the ship's scientist who studied alien life, "this is incredible. We're looking at proof that intelligent life exists beyond Earth. This could change everything." Kyle smiled. Let's hope they're friendly, Sam. I'm picking up some kind of transmission, said Communications Officer Ryan Clark. It's not directed at us, but there's definitely radio activity coming from that station. Can you understand any of it? Kyle asked. Ryan shook his head. It's completely alien, but I'm recording everything. Maybe we can figure out how to talk to them. As the Venture's edge got closer to the station, more alien ships began to appear on their sensors. But these ships stayed far away, watching from a safe distance. Kyle thought this was probably normal. If an alien ship showed up near Earth, humans would probably do the same thing. What Kyle didn't know was that the alien ships were not just watching, they were terrified. Captain Amy Rodriguez of the Zephyrian patrol ship Silent Wing had been ordered to observe the unknown vessel. Her ship was typical of Zephyrian design, thin, elegant, and built for speed. It could outrun almost anything in the galaxy, but it couldn't fight much of anything. Captain, said her sensor officer, I'm getting the same readings as the monitoring station. This ship is armed with weapons we can't even identify. Amy looked at her display and shivered. The human ship's point defense lasers, which were designed to destroy small meteors and space debris, looked like planet-killing weapons to the Zephyrians. Their own ships were so lightly built that even the smallest human weapon could cut through them like paper. Send a message to Fleet Command, Amy ordered. Tell them the unknown ship is definitely military, possibly a Dreadnought-class warship. What should we do if it tries to attack the station? Her weapons officer asked. Amy was quiet for a long moment. Her ship had weapons, but they were designed to fight other Zephyrian ships, or maybe some space pirates. Against the monster that was approaching, they would be useless. We run, she said finally. If that thing starts shooting, we run as fast as we can and hope it doesn't follow us. On the monitoring station, more alien species were getting involved. The Vortani were crystalline beings who lived in the cold parts of space. The Nebulans were made of gas and lived in special containers. All of them were looking at the sensor readings from the human ship, and all of them were coming to the same conclusion. This is a warship, announced Vex Kari, a Vortani admiral who had just arrived at the station. Look at the construction. Look at the power output. This species builds their ships to survive anything and destroy everything else. What do we know about where it came from? Asked observer Crixtel. Nothing, Vex Kari replied. The ship appeared on our sensors 3 days ago. It seems to be exploring, but that could be a cover story. It might be scouting for an invasion. As the human ship got closer, more alien fleets began to move. Across 17 star systems, the Galactic Trade Federation started quietly preparing for war. They didn't want to fight, but they also couldn't let a species this dangerous get too close to their populated worlds. Kyle Morrison had no idea that his simple exploration mission was about to change the balance of power in the galaxy. All he wanted was to fix his ship and maybe make some new friends among the stars. Instead, he was about to start the biggest crisis in galactic history. Jake Phillips wiped sweat from his forehead as he worked deep inside the Venture's edge. The quantum drive was more damaged than he had first thought. Pieces of the main power coupling were melted, and several backup systems had failed. He had been working for 12 hours straight, but he was finally making progress. Captain Morrison, Jake said into his communicator. I have good news and bad news. Kyle's voice came back through the speaker. Give me the good news first, Jake. The good news is I can get us moving again. Basic propulsion will be online in about 6 hours, Jake said, pulling apart another damaged component. The bad news is we need to dock somewhere for proper repairs. This quantum drive won't last more than a few days. Kyle was quiet for a moment. How long for full repairs? If we can find a proper shipyard, maybe a week. If we have to do it ourselves in open space, could be a month or more. Keep working, Jake. We might have found help. Jake didn't know that help was the last thing the aliens wanted to give them. On the monitoring station Nexus 7, Senior Observer, Crixtel was in the middle of the most important communication of his life. He stood in front of a large screen that showed the faces of the Galactic Trade Federation Emergency Council. Leaders from 12 different species were looking at him with expressions of worry and fear. Observer Crixtel, said council leader, Mortain, a tall, thin being with gray skin and large black eyes. Show us what you have discovered about this unknown ship. Crixtel activated his display. The sensor readings from the human ship appeared on the screen and several council members made sounds of alarm. As you can see, Crixtel began, his mandibles clicking nervously. This vessel is unlike anything in our database. The hull appears to be made of compressed metals that we cannot even identify. The density is impossible. How impossible? Asked Admiral Vexkari, the crystal being who represented the Vortani Defense Corps. Our best ships have hulls that are 3 millimeters thick. This ship's hull appears to be over 30 centimeters thick in some places. It's like they built a flying fortress. Another council member, a gaseous being called Neb Lux, spoke from inside his containment suit. What about weapons? Crixtel switched to another display. This is where it gets terrifying. The ship has at least 12 energy weapons that we can detect. Each one puts out more power than our largest battleship's main gun. What the aliens were seeing as massive weapons were actually the Venture's Edge's point defense lasers, communication arrays, and mining equipment. Humans built everything to be tough and powerful because space was dangerous. To aliens who had evolved in gentler environments, human technology looked like it was designed for war. There's more, Crixtel continued. The ship's power core produces energy levels that should be impossible to control. If that power source exploded, it could destroy everything within 1,000 kilometers. The council members looked at each other with growing alarm. They had built their civilization on peace and cooperation. The idea of a species that built ships like weapons was terrifying to them. What do you recommend, Observer? Asked Council Leader Mortain. We need to mobilize the defense fleets, Crixtel said. But we must be very careful. If this species is as aggressive as their technology suggests, any hostile action from us could start a war we cannot win. Meanwhile, on the human ship, Dr. Sam Bennett was having the best day of his career. He had spent his whole life studying the possibility of alien life, and now he was about to meet some. Captain, Sam said excitedly, I'm picking up biological readings from that station. There are definitely living beings over there. Multiple species, actually. Kyle smiled. How many different species? At least 3, maybe more. This is incredible, Captain. We're looking at a multi-species civilization. They've achieved something that humans have only dreamed about. Communication Officer Ryan Clark looked up from his station. Captain, I'm getting more transmissions. The signals are getting stronger and there seem to be more ships arriving in the area. More ships? Kyle asked. How many more? Ryan checked his readings. At least 20, sir. Maybe more. They're staying far away, but they're definitely watching us. Kyle nodded. This was probably normal behavior. If an alien ship showed up near Earth, humans would send ships to investigate too. He didn't realize that what he was seeing was not curiosity, but preparation for war. Captain Amy Rodriguez of the patrol ship Silent Wing was getting more nervous by the hour. Her orders were to observe the unknown vessel and report back, but not to engage under any circumstances. The problem was that more and more ships were arriving and the tension was building. Captain, said her sensor officer, Lieutenant Ben Carter, I'm counting 15 Federation ships in the area now. The Nebulan fleet just arrived, and the Vortani battle group is only 2 hours away. Amy felt sick. This was turning into the largest military gathering in the sector's history, and it was all because of one ship. One ship that could probably destroy all of them without breaking a sweat. Any change in the unknown vessel's behavior? Amy asked. Ben shook his head. Still approaching at the same speed, still scanning everything. Captain, what if they're studying our defenses? What if this is reconnaissance for an invasion? Amy didn't answer because she was afraid Ben might be right. Back on the monitoring station, Observer Crixtel received an update that made his situation even worse. Observer, said his assistant Tel 9, we're getting reports from our deep space sensors. More ships like this one have been detected in 3 other sectors. Crixtel's compound eyes went wide. More ships? How many more? At least a dozen, sir. They all appear to be exploring different star systems. Observer. What if this isn't just one ship? What if this is a scouting force for a massive invasion fleet? Crixtel felt his legs go weak. The idea of dozens of ships like the one approaching was beyond frightening. It was apocalyptic. On the human ship, Kyle was trying to figure out why so many alien ships were gathering in the area. It didn't make sense to him. "Lisa," he said to his tactical officer, "are we doing anything that might seem threatening?" Lisa Turner checked her systems carefully. "No, sir. All weapons are powered down. We're running silent on all military frequencies. The only active systems are sensors and basic communication equipment. What about our point defense grid?" "Still active, but that's just standard safety protocol. We need it to destroy any space debris that might hit us." Kyle nodded. The point defense system was always on during space travel. It was like wearing a seatbelt in a car. But he didn't know that to the aliens, those same systems looked like weapons of mass destruction. Dr. Sam Bennett was monitoring the biological readings from the alien station when he noticed something interesting. "Captain," Sam said, "I think the aliens might be afraid of us." "Afraid? Why would they be afraid?" "Look at these readings," Sam said, pointing to his screen. "I'm detecting stress hormones in the atmosphere around their station. Heart rates are elevated across multiple species. Captain, they're not just curious about us, they're terrified." Kyle frowned. "But we haven't done anything threatening." "Maybe not from our point of view," Sam said thoughtfully. "But we don't know how they think or what they consider threatening." Engineer Jake Phillips finally got the basic propulsion system working. The ship's engines came online with a low hum that vibrated through the hull. "Captain, we have movement capability," Jake announced proudly. "We can go forward, backward, and turn. It's not pretty, but it works." Kyle felt relieved. At least now they weren't completely helpless if something went wrong. But across the sector, the moment the human ship's engines activated, every alien sensor operator had the same terrifying thought. The monster was powering up for an attack. Admiral Vex Carey, watching from her command ship, sent an emergency message to all Federation fleets. "Unknown vessel has activated primary systems. All ships maintain maximum distance. Prepare for possible hostile action." The human exploration mission was rapidly turning into the galaxy's worst nightmare, and neither side understood why. The emergency meeting of the Galactic Trade Federation High Council was the largest in 300 years. Leaders from 47 different worlds gathered in the Great Chamber on the capital world of Harmony Prime. The air was thick with tension and fear. Admiral Vex Carey stood at the center of the chamber, her crystal body reflecting the lights from dozens of different species' viewing screens. Her voice rang out clear and cold. "Fellow council members," she began, "we face the greatest threat our civilization has ever known. The species that has entered our space builds ships like weapons and travels with the power of stars at their command." On the viewing screens, leaders from across the galaxy watched the sensor data from the human ship. To them, every piece of human technology looked impossibly dangerous. "We must act," declared war leader Zek Thor of the militant Cronin Empire. His species looked like walking trees with bark-like skin and glowing red eyes. "These invaders must be stopped before they can report back to their home fleet." "But we know nothing about them," protested Ambassador Yin Li of the peaceful Centauri Republic. Her people were small and blue with large, gentle eyes. "They have made no hostile moves. Perhaps they come in peace." Admiral Vex Carey activated another display. "Look at these readings again. Their ship has enough firepower to destroy entire cities. No peaceful species builds ships like this." Back on the human ship Venture's Edge, Captain Kyle Morrison was getting frustrated. They had been trying to communicate with the alien station for 6 hours, but were getting no response to their peaceful greeting messages. "Ryan," Kyle said to his communications officer, "try a different frequency. Maybe they don't use the same radio bands we do." Ryan Clark adjusted his equipment and sent out another signal. Standard peaceful greeting, mathematical sequences, and basic friendship messages. Still no direct response, Captain. Dr. Sam Bennett looked up from his biological scanners. "Captain, I'm still reading high stress levels from the station. Whatever we're making them very nervous. We're not doing anything, Kyle said, confused. We're just sitting here trying to say hello. What Kyle didn't know was that his just sitting there was being interpreted very differently by the aliens. To them, the human ship was holding position like a predator waiting to strike. Lieutenant Commander Lisa Turner was monitoring the increasing number of alien ships in the area. Captain, we now have over 50 ships watching us. They're staying far away, but they're definitely organized in some kind of formation. Kyle felt a chill run down his spine. 50 ships was not a welcome committee. That was a military response. Lisa, are our weapons still powered down? Yes, sir. Everything, except the point defense grid, which is standard protocol. Power down the point defense grid too. Sir, that's not safe if we hit any space debris without it. Do it anyway, Kyle ordered. I want to make sure we look as non-threatening as possible. When the point defense grid shut down, every alien sensor operator in the sector noticed immediately. But instead of seeing it as a peaceful gesture, they interpreted it as something much worse. The unknown vessel has shut down its outer weapon systems, reported Captain Amy Rodriguez from her patrol ship. Admiral, I think they're preparing to activate their main weapons. Admiral Vex Kari felt her crystal body grow cold. In her species' military doctrine, ships only shut down point defense when they were about to use weapons so powerful that the defensive systems might interfere with them. All ships emergency retreat to minimum safe distance, she ordered. Prepare for possible planet-killer weapon deployment. Across the sector, alien ships began moving away from the human vessel as fast as they could go. The retreat was so sudden and obvious that even the humans noticed it. Captain, Lisa said, staring at her sensor display, all the alien ships are moving away from us fast. Kyle felt his stomach drop. How fast? Emergency speed, sir. They're running like we just declared war on them. On the monitoring station, Nexus 7, Senior Observer Crixtel was coordinating the largest military evacuation in galactic history. Trade ships, civilian transports, and research vessels were all fleeing the sector as fast as their engines could carry them. Observer, said his assistant Tel 9. The civilian evacuation is nearly complete. All non-military vessels have cleared the danger zone. What about the research station on Kepler 7? Crixtel asked. Evacuated 2 hours ago, sir. The entire system is now empty of civilian traffic. Crixtel looked at his sensor display showing the human ship. It looked so small and quiet, but he knew that was deceptive. The humans were probably waiting for the perfect moment to strike. Meanwhile, engineer Jake Phillips was working frantically in the engine room of the Venture's Edge. The quantum drive was more damaged than he had originally thought, and now they had a new problem. Captain, Jake's voice came over the communication system. We have a serious issue. The quantum drive is starting to overload. If I don't fix it soon, we might have a containment breach. Kyle's blood ran cold. A quantum drive breach could destroy their ship and everything around it for kilometers. How long do we have? Maybe 8 hours if we're lucky. 12 hours if we're not. What do you need? I need to vent some of the excess energy and recalibrate the containment field. It's going to cause some pretty big energy spikes on sensors. Kyle made a decision that would change everything. Do it, Jake. Do whatever you need to do. When Jake began working on the quantum drive, the energy readings from the human ship went crazy. Every alien sensor in the sector detected massive power spikes that looked like weapon charging sequences. Emergency alert. Captain Amy Rodriguez transmitted to all ships. The unknown vessel is charging what appears to be a reality warping weapon. All ships, maximum retreat speed now. Admiral Vex Kari watched the sensor readings with growing horror. The power levels coming from the human ship were beyond anything in Federation science. They were playing with forces that could tear holes in space itself. Send word to all inhabited systems within 50 light-years, she ordered. Begin immediate evacuation procedures. If that weapon discharges, it could destabilize this entire region of space. The evacuation order reached billions of beings across dozens of worlds. Entire planets began preparing for the possibility that their star systems might be destroyed. by the terrifying humans and their impossible weapons. On the human ship, Communications Officer Ryan Clark was getting very worried. "Captain, I'm picking up massive amounts of radio traffic, emergency broadcasts, fleet movements, evacuation orders. Captain, I think we've accidentally started some kind of galactic crisis." Kyle felt sick. "Evacuation orders? What are they evacuating from?" "From us, sir," Ryan said quietly. "They're evacuating from us." Dr. Sam Bennett was studying the alien communications when he made a disturbing discovery. "Captain, I've been analyzing their broadcasts. I think I know what's happening." "Tell me," Kyle said. "They think we're a warship. Not just any warship, they think we're some kind of planet-destroying superweapon. Every piece of technology on our ship is being interpreted as a military threat." Kyle stared at Sam in disbelief. "But we're an exploration vessel. We don't even have any real weapons." "To them, we do," Sam explained. "Our point defense lasers look like ship killers. Our quantum drive looks like a space-time weapon. Our hull plating looks like battleship armor. Captain, to these aliens, we look like their worst nightmare." The realization hit Kyle like a physical blow. They weren't explorers making first contact. They were accidentally the scariest thing the galaxy had ever seen. "Ryan," Kyle said urgently, "can you send them a message? Tell them we're peaceful?" Ryan tried for several minutes before shaking his head. "I can transmit, sir, but I don't think they're listening. They're too busy running away." As the human ship continued its repairs, completely unaware that their actions were being interpreted as preparation for galactic war, the largest military force in Federation history began assembling in nearby systems. If the humans were planning to attack, the galaxy would be ready. But Kyle Morrison just wanted to fix his ship and go home. He had no idea that his simple exploration mission had become the spark that might ignite the first galactic war in 1,000 years. Dr. Sam Bennett had not slept in 18 hours. He sat in the communications room of the Venture's Edge, surrounded by alien language patterns, mathematical equations, and translation algorithms. His coffee had gone cold hours ago, but he barely noticed. "I think I'm getting somewhere," Sam said to Communications Officer Ryan Clark, who was helping him decode the alien transmissions. "Their language structure is complex, but it follows logical patterns." Ryan looked exhausted, too. "What
Have you figured out?"
"The basic structure seems to be emotion-based rather than grammar-based," Sam explained, pointing to his notes. "When they're afraid, they use completely different word orders than when they're calm. That explains why our peaceful greeting messages might not be working," Ryan said thoughtfully. "If they're terrified of us, they might not even be able to process peaceful language." Captain Kyle Morrison walked into the communications room looking worried. The situation was getting worse by the hour and he was running out of options. "Any progress on communication?" Kyle asked. "Some," Sam replied. "But Captain, I need to tell you something else. I've been monitoring their biological readings more carefully. These aliens didn't evolve like we did." "What do you mean?" Sam pulled up a display showing comparative data. "Captain, their homeworlds appear to have much lighter gravity than Earth, thinner atmospheres, more stable weather. They've never had to deal with the kind of environmental challenges that shaped human development." Kyle frowned. So they build everything light and efficient because they've never needed to build it strong. To them, our way of building things looks impossibly aggressive because they can't imagine why anyone would need such tough equipment. The revelation was interrupted by engineer Jake Phillips' voice over the communication system. "Captain, I have good news and bad news about the quantum drive." "Good news first," Kyle replied. "The good news is I've stopped the overload. We're not going to explode." "And the bad news?" "The bad news is that the energy discharge I had to perform has probably convinced every alien in the sector that we just fired some kind of super weapon." Kyle closed his eyes and rubbed his temples. Every time they tried to fix their situation, they seemed to make it worse. On the monitoring station Nexus 7, senior observer Crix Tell was watching the sensor readings from the human ship with growing amazement. The massive energy discharge had been detected by every instrument in the sector, but something was wrong with the readings. "Tell 9, Krixtel called to his assistant. Look at these energy signatures again. Something doesn't make sense. Tel 9 scuttled over and examined the display. What do you mean, observer? If they had fired a weapon with that much power, where is the target? Where is the destruction? Tel 9's compound eyes widened as he realized what his superior was suggesting. Observer, you don't think... I think we may have made a terrible mistake, Krixtel said quietly. What if that wasn't a weapon discharge? What if it was something else entirely? Meanwhile, Dr. Sam Bennett was making a breakthrough in his translation work. After hours of analysis, he had managed to create a basic translation matrix for the EU alien languages. Captain, Sam said excitedly, I think I can send them a message they'll understand. It won't be perfect, but it should be clear enough. What kind of message? Kyle asked. A complete technical breakdown of our ship. Everything. Hull composition, weapon systems, power source, construction methods, even our biological data. Kyle looked shocked. Sam, that's classified information. We can't just give aliens our military secrets. Captain, we don't have any military secrets, Sam replied. That's the whole point. Everything they think is a weapon is actually just normal equipment. If we show them exactly what our technology is and why we build it this way, maybe they'll understand that we're not a threat. Kyle thought about it for a long moment. It was a huge risk, but staying silent wasn't working either. Do it, Kyle said finally. Send them everything. The transmission that Dr. Sam Bennett sent to the alien monitoring station was unlike anything the Galactic Trade Federation had ever received. Instead of threats or demands, it was a complete technical manual for human space travel. Senior observer Krixtel stared at his display in amazement as the human data poured in. Detailed specifications for hull construction, power systems, life support, and every other component of the human ship. Tel 9, Krixtel whispered. Look at this. Their hull isn't made of battle armor. It's made of compressed steel alloys, designed to protect against micrometeors and radiation. And their weapons? Tel 9 asked nervously. Krixtel scrolled through the data. These aren't weapons at all. They're point defense systems designed to destroy space debris. And this mining laser and this communication array. Tel 9, none of this is military technology. Then why is it so powerful? Krixtel found the answer in the biological data the humans had included. Because they come from a death world, he said in wonder. Look at their planet's specifications. Heavy gravity, violent weather, dangerous radiation levels, asteroid impacts. Tel 9. These beings evolved on one of the most hostile planets in the galaxy. The revelation was staggering. Humans didn't build their ships like weapons because they were aggressive. They built them like weapons because everything in their environment was trying to kill them. Send this data to the High Council immediately, Krixtel ordered. And Tel 9. Send a message to all fleet commanders. Tell them to stand down. Admiral Vex Kari was in the middle of coordinating the largest military response in galactic history when she received Krixtel's data package. She read through it twice before she could believe what she was seeing. Communications, she called to her bridge crew. Get me a direct line to the High Council. Minutes later, she was addressing the emergency session of galactic leaders. Fellow Council members, we have made a critical error. The unknown species is not a military threat. They are survivors. She shared the human technical data with the Council. The reaction was immediate and dramatic. Their standard construction methods are more robust than our best military hardware, observed war leader Zekthor, his tree-like form swaying with amazement. But it's not because they're warlike. It's because they have to be. Look at their planet's data, added Ambassador Yin Li. How did they even survive long enough to develop space travel? Admiral Vex Kari continued her briefing. What we interpreted as aggression is actually the ultimate expression of defensive engineering. This species has learned to build everything as if the universe itself is trying to destroy it, which, from their perspective, it probably is, noted Dr. Fellmore, the Federation's leading expert on hostile environments. Back on the Venture's edge, Captain Kyle Morrison was anxiously waiting for a response to their transmission. They had revealed everything about human technology and biology. Now they could only hope the aliens would understand. "Captain," Ryan Clark said suddenly, "I'm receiving a transmission. It's in our own language." Kyle's heart skipped a beat. "Our language? How is that possible?" "They must have used our technical data to create a translation matrix," Dr. Sam Bennett said. "That's actually quite impressive." Ryan played the message. The voice was strange, with clicking sounds and odd pronunciations, but it was clearly speaking English. "Human vessel Venture's Edge," the message began. "This is Senior Observer Crixtel of Galactic Trade Federation Monitoring Station Nexus 7. We have received your technical information. We understand now that we have misinterpreted your intentions. You are not invaders. You are explorers, like us." Kyle felt a wave of relief wash over him. "Send a response, Ryan. Tell them we come in peace and we're honored to meet them." The response came back quickly. "Captain Morrison, we would be honored to welcome you to our station for repairs and formal first contact procedures. We apologize for our fear. We had never encountered a species from a world as challenging as yours." Over the next few hours, the crisis that had nearly led to galactic war transformed into the most significant moment in galactic history. The human ship was escorted to the monitoring station by a fleet of alien vessels, but this time they came as protectors rather than threats. Engineer Jake Phillips got his proper repair facilities. Dr. Sam Bennett got to meet representatives from dozens of alien species. Captain Kyle Morrison became the first human ambassador to the Galactic Trade Federation. The aliens learned that humanity's apparent aggression was actually the result of having to survive in one of the galaxy's most dangerous environments. Humans learned that most of the galaxy was much gentler than Earth, which explained why alien technology seemed so delicate to human eyes. "It's funny," Kyle said to Sam as they watched alien engineers marveling at the Venture's Edge's construction. "They were afraid of us because we're so tough, but we built ourselves to be tough because we were afraid of everything else." The misunderstanding that had nearly started a war became the foundation for a new age of cooperation between humans and the galactic community. The Federation gained access to incredibly robust human engineering techniques, while humanity gained friends among the stars and knowledge that the universe was much less hostile than they had always believed. At least, it was less hostile once you got away from planets, like Earth.